Now we go to Sir Richard Rogers, a very accomplished architect, and not just because he received the Pritzker Prize. Um, as I said, his birthday will be tomorrow, but because tomorrow I will talk about two other very accomplished architects, Arata Isozaki, who himself received the Pritzker, and Raymond Abraham. So, Richard Rogers. It might be that he died this year. My memory is not very it's not serving me very well. He died either last year or this year, and I couldn't find information, which is very strange. I didn't search a whole day for it, but Wikipedia only mentions when he was born, like he died. So Richard George Rogers, Baron Rogers of Riverside, CH, Freeba, whatever, you know, the British, they have these long qualifications that anyway, was an Italian British architect noted for his modernist and functionalist designs in high-tech architecture. Rogers is perhaps best known for his work on the Pompidou Center in Paris, the Lloyd's building and the Millennium Dome, both in London, the Senate building in Cardiff, and the European Court of Human Rights building in Strasbourg. We had one of the engineers who worked in that building with us here last year when we also talked about him. Anyway, he didn't come to today, but he's a winner of the Riba Gold Medal, the Thomas Jefferson Medal, the Riba Sterling Prize, the Minerva Medal, and the Pritzker Prize. He was a senior partner at Rogers Sturck Harbor and Partners, previously known as the Richard Rogers Partnership until 30th of June 2020. Well, I don't know if he died on the 30th of June. I think he died a little later, but anyway. This was Sir Richard Rogers. I think he was an unassuming man, a rather modest man, and you'll see some works towards the end of this presentation that I would say testify about this. Here he is with Sir Norman Foster when they were young students at Yale University. So this is Sir Norman Foster, a student at Yale, and this is Sir Richard Rogers. Both became sirs because of their accomplishment in architecture. So Renzo Piano and Richard Rogers in 1976. Look at them, young people who won the competition for Centre Georges Pompidou. Bravo to them, and you know that launched both of them on a you know spectacular career, and they both received the Pritzker Prize. Here they are actually on the structure of Centre Georges Pompidou in Paris. In the front is Sir Richard Rogers. Behind him is Renzo Piano. And the third one is the brilliant engineer, Peter Rice, who unfortunately died young. But the three of them did this building. Bravo to them. Now, when he began to work for himself, so to speak, he was part of the Team 4. And there were actually him and Sir Richard, Norman Foster and their wives. Team 4 photographed in 1966. Here they are. Now, if I remember correctly, I think the wife of Sir Norman Foster is this one, who is actually sitting on the lap of the man we pay homage to today, Richard Rogers. And this is the wife of Richard Rogers, who sits on the lap of Sir Norman Foster. I don't know who the other 4 people are, probably, you know, their collaborators. Anyway, these are the 4. You know, and bravo to them, 4 young people, 4 dreamers who fought for their dreams and who achieved a lot. I mean, a lot. Creekview in Cornwall, 1966. This is an interesting, not so much this, but let's hope I arrive at. I actually like the building more when it is affected by the elements. I like this part, which is a little bit underground. It's a small hut in a way, but it's nice. It's refreshingly, modern, so to speak. Okay, this is the retreat that you just saw. Not bad. It was something in the 60s, fresh spirit in the air, and the iconoclastic spirit of the students in Sorbonne or in England or even in the United States. They were fighting against the war. There was a lot of energy then. I wish something like this would happen to us too, although I'm afraid indifference is the king these days. These are the larger buildings, but I like this. I like the little hut, the refuge. So again, you can do great architecture with a very small structure. It doesn't have to be a huge building. This one actually is less than a room. Or to use the title of a brilliant book by Joseph Brodsky, who won the Nobel Prize for Poetry, the youngest man to receive the Nobel for Poetry. He wrote a book called Less Than One. In a way, this little building is less than one. Reliance controls a factory in the UK, 1967. Already there are insinuations, powerful insinuations of the high-tech aesthetics that he became famous for, and in good measure also Sir Norman Foster. Here, I think they split, and they formed a second company, Richard and Sue Rogers Architects, with John Young and Laurie Abbott. Zip Up House. The Zip Up House was designed between 1967 and 1969 for the House of Today competition, which was sponsored by DuPont and was exhibited at the 1969 Ideal Home exhibition in London. The design was for a factory-built house, quick to assemble and reassemble with cheap insulation panels that are used on refrigeration trucks with rapid construction, all at low cost. Richard Rogers wrote, "Buying clothes off the rack is the norm. We wanted to do the same for the house, an affordable, speedy kit of parts." And look at this. It was again that great spirit at the end of the 60s, a spirit of rejuvenation, of novelty. There was a revolution in the air, and in architecture as well, as you can see. They believed in technology. It was an optimistic spirit, it's true. An optimistic spirit which seems to be lacking today. Now, for the association with Renzo Piano created several works. The Universal Oil Products in UK, then B&B Italia headquarters, So they worked before they actually won the competition for the Pompidou Center in Paris. Here they are. I love this picture. I love this picture because it shows two young men who took their lives in their hands and made something of their lives. You know, why? Being creative, being nonconformist, being exuberant, and it pays. And you know, that's why I keep telling the students and the young architects, be nonconformist, create without fear, take part in international competitions, you know, give your life for something that expresses you properly without any kind of reticence. These people did it, you know, and today it's possible for anyone, doesn't matter where you are, in Paris, in London, in New York, or in Muncie Hussein. It's still possible to participate in international competitions, and it is possible to win. Yes, if you have something to say, if you believe in what you are doing, and if you work hard. They did. B&B Italia, 1972-1973. It's, well, anyway, it's a high-tech building. We'll end actually this presentation on Sir Richard Rogers with his last building, his Swan Song, which in my opinion is a beautiful swan song, very much in the spirit of, in a way, what you see here, but already that more sophisticated. A building which almost wants to fly, or it wants to fly without almost. You'll see it. A brilliant building of a man who was, I don't know, 87, 88, or 88 years old when he did it. But we'll arrive at this. Color, yes, color, why not? The more the better. And as Romanians, we should be a little bit patriotic because it's the blue and the red and the yellow. Nice. So he worked here together with Renzo Piano. Now the well-known Pompidou Center, which they won the competition in 6
Dan,
years. Hello?
yeah, Dan, this is Vatsal. Uh,
Yes, hi.
Hello. Hi. I wanted to add a comment on the last slide, uh, the one with the yellow and red. Sometimes, yeah, I wondered, even here they have color codes for certain services, which is by the municipal corporation. So maybe here also some part of it might have played, the color coding might have played part in this color scheme. That's what I feel.
I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe not. I don't know. But in Centre Georges Pompidou, they also use color, and there was no company here. Look, there is color, plenty of color, and you'll see some other parts too. Anyway, it's a here the engineering was done by Peter Rice, truly a brilliant engineer who also worked for the pyramid, the Iron Pace pyramid in Paris, and even for the opera in Sydney and for Lloyd's in London and so on. He died young, unfortunately. The museum for Constantin Brăcuș is here, and this was built by Renzo Piano. You know, we talked about Konstantin Melnikov being born in poor circumstances. Well, think of Brâncuș being born in Hobița, you know, a little village in Romania, and having arrived in the center of Paris with a building built for him by Renzo Piano right in front of Centre Georges Pompidou. You see, this is a clear proof that you can, if you have something to say it. Or as Stephen Hall said, if you have idealism in you, let it out. Not everybody will succeed, yes, but one thing is for sure: if you don't try, you fail for sure. If you try, You might fail, but you might also win. So what is best? I think is best is to try. I mean, I read that actually Renzo Piano and Richard Rogers, they were convinced they were not going to win. And that's why they had no inhibitions. They said, we are not going to win. We start from the premise that we are not going to win, but we will do the project exactly as we wanted to do it, without any kind of fear, because we know we are not going to win. And they won. You see, that's how it is. It's like in love. It's said that love follows you when you turn your back on it. It's the same thing, you know. Can you imagine? I mean, these were young people, maybe not even 30, or truly young people winning such a major project in the heart of Paris. Can you imagine the joy they had and the great change they had? But they deserve this change because they won this competition. That's why I keep saying to the thousands of indifferent people I send messages every day, fight, participate in international competitions, be creative, be audacious. But indifference is a monster. It's hard to fight with it. Great sketch, full of verve. So the idea was to have a free space as large as possible and all the technical parts of the building to be moved at the outside, at the periphery of the plan, at the periphery of the building. And it worked. It's true they benefited from having with them a great engineer. Now, after they built this, they split at one point, and Richard Rogers created the partnership, the Richard Rogers Partnership. Then later on, he created another company. They did this great building, the Lloyd's in London, 1978, 1984. Sorry, it's not 1084, but 1984. First high-tech building, and it's very impressive. It's a machinery, but I would say it is a machinery, but emotionally charged. He became increasingly good at doing this. So this is Lloyd's in London. It's in a way, it's a cathedral for shopping. Sorry for naming it in this way, but this is what it is. Again, the service is, you know, placed outside of the building. Now, I understood there were losses of energy here, but what can you do? Even the greatest works have things that are questionable. I like, and I'm not a technocrat, far from it, but I like the viscerality of the pipes. You know, this drama of the technical parts of the building. You know, they are very sculptural, and they are essentially, you know, technical entities. Reuters data center, London. This, yeah, this is the building. I mean, he built a lot. You know, just like Renzo Piano and just like Sir Norman Foster, his initial partner in Team 4. These people really had very, very rich and accomplished careers. And Sir Norman Foster, I almost said Sir Renzo Piano, are still alive and still building. European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg from 1994. Here we had the chance to have a talk last year with an engineer who contributed to this building, and he told us a few things about this. A great builder. I mean, you know, using this the language, architectural language, he created some landmarks that, you know, very coherent and rigorous, the design, and yet spectacular and plastically or artistically engaging.
Dan, what is the purpose of this building? What is the use? Why these cylinders?
It's a kind of a palace of justice for the European Union, a
Okay,
courtroom.
okay.
Building in Japan, 1987, 1993, a tower. Uh, we already know kind of what to expect from Sir Richard Rogers. He built also in Berlin. I hope I have here some images of what he built in Berlin. It's a fresh, honest, high tech architecture, but it's not. Despite the fact that it is high tech, I don't think it is pedantically so. I think there is it's almost naturally so, if I can use such a language. It's not an you know esoteric architecture. It's an architecture that is done by a man who I think is not speculating architecturally. He's building from conviction in a certain way using his language, and he does it well, I think. The Daimler Chrysler buildings in Berlin, uh, his former partner Renzo Piano also built some buildings here. So this is close to Potsdamer Platz. Not bad. I mean, it's a vigorous architecture. It's even if you don't have high-tech leanings or interests, you cannot deny the freshness of the vision and the vigor. And it's built impeccably, of course. It is in Germany. All the money was there, of course. I mean, this building, actually, the one you see here is by Renzo Piano, his former partner, but he built other buildings around this. Anyway, what is in the foreground is Sir Richard Rogers. Now, a building in London, 1990, 1994. As you can see, he uses color all the time. And good for him. He's not timid. He was not timid. Now, this sculpture is not by him. And anyway, the sculpture adds something to the drama of the entrance into the building. The Welsh Parliament, Cardiff, UK. I love that roof floating. It's remarkable. So this is a governmental building, is the Parliament, but the architecture is not, petit bourgeois or restrictive or authoritarian. No, it's look inside. That wooden mushroom, huge in the center of the building. He was a courageous man, Sir Richard Rogers. Playful, that is. You can be creative without being playful. It's a coherent project. It's well organized, well structured, and yet it has surprises. Look at this. And you'll see later on a beautiful building he did in France, also a judicial court or a palace of justice. Very, very nice. Quite a parliament building, isn't it? I imagine that even political people within such a building get inspired and maybe, act accordingly, free-spirited and generous and taking risks and so on. Because architecture does have an impact on people. He deserved the Pritzker, I believe. Now you'll see two or three law courts. This one in Belgium, which is also very good, and sculptural and engaging and interesting. A lot can be done with a roof, and here again, it shows that when you deal with a roof in sculptural terms and in expressive terms, in dramatic terms, you get results. I mean, the aspiration for justice is a noble one. And I don't think a palace of justice or a law court should be, should have a flat roof above, restrictive and heavy. It's really about, in a way, almost the divine dimension of justice. Because when you do justice as a human being or try to do justice, you assume responsibilities which are complex, and if you don't have a certain idealism in you, you may fail. The preferred one for me is the one in France, and you are going to arrive there. But even this one has obvious qualities. It must be a joy to do architecture like this, which is creative, I mean, generous programs, and yes, some people do it, some people don't. It was like this, and it will be like this. Look at the plan or the model. So yes, his architecture is high tech, but also the expressive power of some of his works would qualify him to be almost some kind of a modern day expressionist. This one I like very much, Le Palais de Justice de Bordeaux, from 1993 to 1999, the Palace of Justice in Bordeaux. And here he is able to bring in these, these rooms, archetypal, very interesting actually. And, look at this, I mean, if this is not a very creative Palace of Justice, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. It is, of course, it's highly innovative and it's very, very interesting. The way he incorporates these rooms under the roof, and I think it's just remarkable. It's both science fiction in a way and archetypal. It's almost like a chapel, no? I mean, you know, you looking at this picture, you could have said this is a chapel or a church. Well, it's not. It's a courtroom. And there are several, as you can see. I don't know exactly how many, six, seven. Or... It's a great building. Now, the Madrid Barajas Airport, Terminal 4. A great airport. Let's hope the pandemic will go away and then the airports of the world will be used again. Although the activities of the planes is not the most sustainable one, but maybe some improvements will happen. He built a lot of cathedrals, but named differently. An airport, court law, or Palace of Justice. The Millennium Dome, also another great building in London, 1996, 1999. I love the structure. You know, the structure becomes ornamental, becomes, aesthetically significant or charged. Now, the sculpture is not by him, of course, but now he changed again his firm. Here it is called Rogers, Sturck, Harbour and Partners. And we look at the British Museum, World Conservation and Exhibition Centre in London, 2007, 2014. Even at the level of details, he is very coherent and elegant. He is more reticent in this building than in the previous ones, but the quality is high. One Hyde Park in London, apartment buildings. This here, luxurious, yes. But he also built for the poor, and we are going to see later on, social housing by Sir Richard Rogers, who I think was a compassionate man. But these buildings, as I said, are for the rich. Interesting apartments. You wouldn't easily expect this kind of rigid symmetry for him. The Y Cube in London. So we go from very expensive, luxurious apartments to social housing. And I like the fact that he didn't forget the poor. So these buildings also are innovative, they are colorful, and they are cheap. They are built for the underprivileged people. And I like the fact that he offered his service also for those who maybe couldn't even afford to think that Sir Richard Rogers could build for them. They're modest apartments, of course. I mean, if you compare the bedroom here with the bedroom in the previous building, you realize immediately it's a different. But these are for truly for these are social housing. They are very very cheap. Maybe even offered for free. I don't know. So connected with what we just saw, the place Ladywell is the UK's first pop-up village with temporary homes, a cool cafe, a thriving indoor market, and workspace for entrepreneurs and charities. The resident takes a peek at this cool new community hangout, also for people in transit or young people and so on. So when Ladywell Leisure Center was demolished in 2014, Lewisham Council decided to put the site to good use instead of leaving a yawning gap in the high street, while new build and estate regeneration programs were being developed for the site. The council worked with architects Rogers, Stark, Harbour, and partners to create Place, a Lego bright temporary residential development offering a short-term solution to the housing crisis in the borough. And again, with simple means, with a lot of color and with a generous spirit, they created something I think that benefited the people who use these very affordable apartments. So there is dignity even in buildings that are built with very modest budgets. And there is dignity also in buildings built with high budgets, like we saw previously in those luxurious apartment buildings. It's the same architect. The same architect, and something of his spirit and something of his dignity is transferred to the buildings. So Good Hope is the second site for the cafe that runs to raise funds for the charity for Jimmy. The original site in Heather Green is currently undergoing a refit following a flood. And I have here a few pictures of the social aspects of this modest, enterprise. But being modest doesn't mean that it's not very, potent for the people who use it. The indoor market at place includes the Thunder and Lightning Fashion Boutique, run by Morgan Weber Newman. I don't know who this person is, but she's happy that she's able to have her own store in this, socially oriented environment. A florist run by Anne-Marie Lichmore, who sells both silk and real floral arrangements. And it moves me because these were people who would not have had the opportunity to do something like this. And because of an inspired project, a generous project, they are able to. And then Italian deli, we love pasta, run by Sicilian Corrado Scala, selling homemade tagliatelle, organic sauces, ice cream, and more. This is the joy of life. It doesn't matter, you are poor or rich. If you have a degree of freedom and you find understanding and you find the social structures to support you, life can flourish. And then, this is a place to of course, repair bicycles. There is also Bring and Fix, inviting people to share their skills, fix bikes, and more. And here is, someone who maybe he worked for free, I don't know, but it's really about life, and it moves me. And I will end the presentation on Sir Richard Rogers today by showing his last work, which I think is brilliant. And here it is, a gallery that cantilevers 27 meters out above the hillside at the Chateau Lacoste vineyard in southern France. Literally, this thing is flying, is floating, is just supporting in 2 points here. Is unbelievable. This is a view from the entrance, and look at this. And he probably felt his life will end. So this is like I don't know. I'm imagining and I'm emotional now, but I see this is a swan song of Sir Richard Rogers. It's his salute, his hello, already in a way from beyond, from the other life. It's something almost religious here, if I'm not mistaken. It's an aspiration for above, for the beyond. Maybe I idealize what I see here, and I'm not a technocrat, but when I see this picture with this building built so rigorously, so precisely, and yet so exuberantly, I cannot think in a different way. Here you have the work of God, and here you have the work of man. And it is as if, they complement each other. It was said that God and man are correlative, and I believe it is true. And you see it well in this work, in this picture. This is how it is inside. It's a gallery. I don't know, I imagine to exhibit art. but I like it more outside. And I like the structure. It's beautiful, you know. It's literally there are only 4 points here, 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 and here. That this whole thing is supported on. And look at the brilliance of the detail. You know, I mean, this metal structure, which is orange or yeah, kind of an orange, and it's. I think it's very nice. It was to take off. It was to become a plane. And his life was taking off, was at an end. But who knows? Maybe death is not an end. Maybe it's a beginning. So, as such, this building is a transition from the earth towards the sky, from the life now and here to the life there. And, it's a metaphor in a way. It takes off. Sir Richard Rogers took off through this building into the afterlife and the beyond. So let's wish him happy birthday for tomorrow. And thank you to the many people who are still with me today.